Tonight, an exclusive ABC7 I-Team investigation into how a mistake with DC's Fire and EMS department could have potentially put the health of the president and the First Lady at risk. ABC7 has learned the ambulance scheduled to accompany the presidential motorcade for Mr. Obama's birthday dinner broke down, which led to multiple problems. Jay Korf breaks down the timeline and the latest black eye to taint the department.
As President Obama travels to and from the White House, the #1 concern of his motorcade is keeping the president safe. One critical constant is a DC Fire and EMS ambulance, typically Medic 1, trailing behind in the event of a medical emergency. But on August 8th, as the president and First Lady were leaving the White House to celebrate Mr. Obama's 52nd birthday with dinner at Resika, Medic 1 ran out of gas. Fire officials confirmed that the vehicle was towed to Apparatus Division and is now being repaired off-site. Fire officials say per policy, the crew should have, but did not fill up the tank that day. Sources say the bigger issue is the vehicle's fuel gauge had been broken for months and had not been repaired.
Why did it run out of gas? Was it a faulty gas gauge? How long did they know that they had a faulty gas gauge?
For months, D.C. Councilman Tommy Wells has been critical of the department for not quickly addressing a fleet in disrepair.
This is just an example that highlights the fact that we're not where we need to be.
According to the official press pool report, the motorcade left the White House that night at around 6:40. A fire department spokesman says another ambulance, Medic 7, was dispatched and arrived at the White House at 6:59, nearly 20 minutes later. But by then, the motorcade was long gone, as the restaurant is only a couple miles away. What we do know, according to this White House pool video, is that when the motorcade left Resika, Medic 7 was parked off to the left. Multiple sources familiar with protocol say since Medic 7 was not in the motorcade, it likely had not gone through a security sweep and therefore could not be used by the president if something had happened.
Now back live here in Northwest Washington, where that motorcade went through just last Thursday. We should note that due to safety and security reasons in regards to the president, a spokesperson for the Secret Service declined to talk at all about this story and about this incident. As far as the fire department, officials with that agency are investigating. They have told us that the crew aboard Medic 1 could face harsh disciplinary action.
First at 11, the D.C. Fire Department's troubling track record gets worse tonight. 2 ambulances catch fire within hours of each other, both while responding to emergencies. Now, this comes one day after the ABC7 I-Team reported a problem with an ambulance in President Obama's motorcade. Jay Korf is live outside the Wilson building with the latest twist in our I-Team investigation. Jay?
Austria, 2 significant developments. First off, after 2 D.C. ambulances caught fire earlier today, the agency is asking the D.C. Police Department to investigate, suggesting the possibility of sabotage. And the Secret Service is now discussing that incident in which a D.C. ambulance last week ran out of gas and could not join the presidential motorcade.
Last Thursday night, the ambulance riding in the president's motorcade, Medic 1, ran out of fuel and was towed away. The ambulance had a faulty gas gauge. The department says it's completely unacceptable for any vehicle in service to break down in such a manner. When ABC7 News first asked the Secret Service on Sunday if Medic 1 had been replaced by another ambulance, a spokesperson refused to comment. Tonight, in a D.C. Fire Department press release, a Secret Service spokesperson stated any issues with equipment related to the movement on Thursday, August 8th, were dealt with quickly and efficiently, and there was no break in ambulance coverage for the motorcade. That spokesperson, though, refused to elaborate on the statement. Officially, the press pool says the motorcade left the White House at around 6:40. A D.C. Fire Department spokesperson says another ambulance arrived in Medic 1's place at 6:59, well after the motorcade left. Some, though, don't think this is a big deal.
I care about the president's safety, but I figure no harm, no foul. At least it broke when nothing happened.
Then Tuesday morning, another problem. A different D.C. ambulance erupted in flames after responding to a call. No one was hurt. Tuesday afternoon, another D.C. ambulance caught fire after arriving at Washington Hospital Center. No one was hurt either. A spokesperson for the Firefighters Union says they've been blowing the whistle on a fleet that they say has been in disarray for years.
We've testified in front of the City Council. The IG's put out a report that speaks to all the issues that we've brought to light of the deplorable status of the department's fleet, and it's hampering our ability to do our jobs.
First at 11, an I-Team investigation you need to see if you live or work in the district. ABC7 uncovered a DC Fire and EMS ambulance is a danger on the road. It has been in service for weeks despite a problem with its brakes. Now, this is just the latest in a laundry list of safety problems for the department's ambulances, and it could put you in danger. Jay Korf has been following the growing crisis in the D.C. Fire Department. He's live in Upper Northwest, where the ambulance is stationed, with a story you will see only on 7 tonight. Jay?
Well, Autria, late tonight, a fire department spokesperson admits that a huge mistake was made when an air hose leak had been reported by medics here for weeks, but that problem was not repaired. Now, after the I-Team gets involved, action will be taken.
When DC ambulances like Medic 31 respond to an emergency, urgency can make all the difference. But ABC7's I-Team has learned crew members have been documenting for months an air hose leak that affects the brakes in Medic 31, yet the problem has not been fixed. The I-Team obtained 3 inspection reports on Medic 31, the first from the week of August 4th, the second from August 11th, the third from this week. And in all of those reports, crew members noted with an X that the ambulance had an air hose leak. Kenneth Lyons, the president of the Civilian EMS Union, works out of Medic 31 and confirmed to the I-Team that this problem delays the ambulance from leaving the station by up to 2 minutes because it takes time for air pressure to build up. Others, though, say when leaving a scene, the delay is closer to 3 to 5 minutes. In a logbook entry from the week of July 22nd, a crew member writes, Medic 31 told from platoon air hose has leak. An entry from the week of August 4th states, air pressure hose continues to leak, Sergeant Hayden notified. Another entry states, Medic 31 air brake takes some time to release, causing us to delay response. Notified house officer about this problem. Inspection reports also show the unit recently went in for repairs, but when it returned, the leak was not fixed. And for months, we've shown viewers evidence of an ambulance fleet in disrepair, from units catching fire to units having no air conditioning to a unit in the presidential motorcade running out of gas.
We've known we've had problems. The fleet's been challenged. We've had some very old equipment, and we're about to replace it.
In fact, just yesterday, Chief Kenneth Ellerby and other city leaders proudly announced that 30 new ambulances will go into service by the end of the year. But late tonight, a spokesperson for the fire department issued a response to this I-Team investigation. It reads in part, there was a lack of follow-through of this repair that should not have occurred and should have been resolved immediately. Anyone who failed to follow the repair process will be asked to account for their lack of action. The unit is still under warranty and will be serviced. Finally, it says the department's fleet maintenance practices are under review and new procedures will be implemented to properly maintain our vehicles going forward.
Just days after D.C. Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby admitted there are big problems with fire equipment, our team did some digging to find out if this is common in other cities. Jay Korf joins us live from D.C. Fire Headquarters with some disturbing new revelations. Jay?
Well, Maureen, we looked at the D.C. Fire and EMS Department's own numbers, their own documents. We found that only 5 out of 26 ladder trucks have passed a critical nationally recognized safety security test, and that none, 0 of their 53 pumper trucks have even been tested since 2010. That's 3 years. So we contacted some other agencies around the country to see if they're having the same problem. They are not.
When district ladder and pumper trucks respond to an emergency, the community cannot be assured the equipment will work according to the agency's own records. These vehicles are supposed to be tested annually to ensure the ladder will hold weight and the pumper's pressure control system will function. But based on internal documents, many of the ladder trucks that failed the test were put right back onto the street and have not been retested in years. Local 36 union official Dabney Hudson says this lack of oversight is putting members and citizens at risk.
If I were fire chief, this would be extremely alarming, and it was something I would take care of yesterday.
In fact, we found this ladder truck, parts literally held together by tape, at the department's repair shop. This vehicle failed the test in August, but fire officials say it remains in service. Last week, RM Bruce DePoy confronted Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby.
How many of the ladder trucks are certified as safe?
Yesterday there were 3.
Out of?
Out of 26.
That's not a good...
Wait a minute. Today there are 5.
Those are terrible numbers.
Chief Ellerby insists his is not the only department facing this issue because these tests take time and money.
This is not isolated in Washington, D.C. This is an industry-wide issue.
But after contacting similar-sized agencies, we found the opposite. Fire departments from all across the country told us all of their pumper and ladder trucks are safety certified. Only in Atlanta did we find a few uncertified ladder trucks. But all the agencies say any truck not up to spec is taken out of service, which is not the policy in the nation's capital.
Let's fix them, and let's give everybody the peace of mind that they deserve when they, dial 911 should they have an emergency, that the vehicles that show up are going to operate the way they're intended.
A spokesperson for the DC Fire and EMS Department responded to our investigation by saying, going forward, the agency will do this nationally certified test of 1, hopefully 2 ladder trucks every month moving forward, and that they hope throughout the course of the next year to have all 53 of those pumper trucks tested.
The story's tall motto outside the DC Fire and EMS Training Academy in Washington reads, honor, commitment, and dedication. But a number of young female cadets, only a month into their apprenticeship, may be questioning those department ideals. ABC7 News has learned that at least 2 cadets have accused 2 instructors of sexual harassment. Multiple sources say the officers commented on the young women's figures in an offensive manner.
These things are completely out of line at all times.
This parent, who asked that we don't identify her, is furious. While she says her daughter was not among those allegedly harassed, she believes changes must be made.
And I hope that, that they get some type of conclusive, information that can protect these young girls in future.
Are you aware of these sexual harassment complaints? And if so, can you tell us? I'm sure you've done something about it.
We caught up with Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby outside council chambers. At first, he did not want to say much.
All those matters have been referred to our EEO counselor, and I have to leave it there. Sorry.
Later, he insisted everything is being done to handle this matter properly.
And we took immediate action to remove those members from the presence of our cadets in continued class. What we believe happened was more some inappropriate language and touching, not of a sexual nature, but the matter made the young ladies uncomfortable.
And the council member who has oversight over the fire department is now demanding a full and transparent investigation.
Well, if the allegations are true, then it's very troubling.
As we first reported, the department is looking into allegations of sexual harassment directed at female cadets. Our Jay Korf first broke this story. He's live outside the DC Fire Training Academy in Southwest with this exclusive interview. Jay?
Well, this female firefighter tells us that these crude remarks and inappropriate touching that she endured, she says, at the hands of a male instructor here at the DC Fire Training Academy got so bad that eventually she said, quote, "Don't ever touch me again." Well, that instructor has been reassigned to another firehouse in a different part of town.
I want people to know that it's not right, especially the young girls.
Fearing retaliation, this female DC firefighter asked us to protect her identity, so we'll call her Susan. She says when she joined a recruit class a few years back, it came with a warning from a female academy employee about some of the male instructors.
She just said be careful, because a lot of them, they don't know their boundaries.
And almost immediately, Susan says, the sexual harassment began.
He made the comment of, guess who wore the wrong bra today?
After a tough day of training, Susan says that same instructor got her alone.
And he came over and, oh, it's okay. It's like, initially it was like, oh, that's nice.
She says his hand moved from her shoulders slowly down to the top of her backside.
And then as the hand went lower to here, I was just like, yeah, please don't ever touch me like that. That's hugely inappropriate.
Fearing for her job, Susan kept quiet until she saw ABC7's recent investigation. 2 young female cadets fresh out of high school accusing 2 male instructors of sexual harassment. She says those cadets came to her for advice and told her what the instructors said.
They're like, you fit those pants well.
It's absolutely shameful. It's shameful. It's disrespectful.
And this male firefighter says he also felt compelled to speak out, saying he's aware of cases in which superiors intimidated female firefighters into not filing complaints.
I know of 2 issues firsthand where issues of sexual harassment or harassment towards women have been basically brushed under the table.
They're babies, and so for them to speak to them like that and, just make any sort of sexual comments toward them is just disgusting.
The fire department has reassigned the 2 male instructors to positions outside of the academy and launched an internal investigation. But when we approached Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby in February, he insisted the alleged harassment was not sexual in nature.
What we believe happened was more some inappropriate language and touching, not of a sexual nature, but the matter made the young ladies uncomfortable.
That is sexual harassment, and that's kind of the problem. And it's still going to continue as long as, the fire chief doesn't do anything about it.
The scandal that haunted the D.C. Fire and EMS Training Academy for months is over, according to the D.C. Office of the Inspector General. In a 3-page letter sent to City Hall, OIG investigators revealed that after a few cadets accused 2 instructors of harassing them, they interviewed a number of Training Academy employees, including all the program's cadets. Among the allegations they listed, Cadet A claimed an instructor, quote, chest bumped her before she slid down the fire pole to motivate her to slide down. Cadet B alleged an instructor, quote, put his hand on her shoulder and stroked her hair and neck while telling her he liked her hair. The instructors denied any wrongdoing. In fact, one of them indicated some of the allegations had been fabricated. The document ended by stating there was a, quote, lack of sufficient evidence for OIG investigators to find a basis to conclude that the conduct, while potentially inappropriate, rose to a level constituting sexual harassment. Councilman Tommy Wells called for this investigation.
It's absolutely unacceptable for any type of sexual harassment in our government, and I won't tolerate it.
But he is satisfied with the findings.
They took action. I'm satisfied by that. And certainly if any of the complainants want to come forward and talk to me, to my office confidentially, they're able to do that as well. But at this time, they haven't. And so I feel confident that this has been dealt with.
Months ago, we spoke with a parent of a non-harassed cadet who heard the stories of harassment from other female cadets. Wednesday, that parent said she's, quote, disappointed in the findings, adding, quote, it's unfortunate for the victims to know that this can happen and nothing will be done about it.
The department's destroyed right now.
3 firefighters say the department, led by Chief Kenneth Ellerby, is in a state of crisis.
I think the citizens need to know that they're not safe.
2 asked that we not identify them for fear of retaliation. All 3, though, admit they've butted heads with and been unfairly disciplined by Chief Ellerby. But firefighter Robert Alvarado, an outspoken critic of Ellerby, was undeterred.
I think he should be terminated, quite frankly.
Their solution to improve service, staffing, and morale is simple.
This chief needs not to be the chief anymore. He needs to go away.
In recent weeks, the department has been plagued with problems. An injured D.C. police officer waited nearly 20 minutes for an ambulance because none was available. Eventually, a Prince George's County unit arrived, sparking an investigation. The report's conclusions were made public today and placed most of the blame on rank-and-file EMTs, not Chief Ellerby.
He will not accept responsibility for anything that he or his in-crowd do. Everything is somebody else's fault.
2 female fire cadets allege that 2 male instructors harassed them at the training academy, a program restarted by Chief Ellerby. Those allegations also ignited an investigation. And union officials say critical staffing needs like hiring paramedics is not happening, and that deteriorating fire equipment is not being replaced quickly enough.
The apparatus fleet is in complete disarray. If we had another terrorist attack on the District of Columbia, we are not prepared to handle it.
Even the chief recently talked about these challenges.
We know that we are at a tipping point in terms of providing service to the community.
The chief has stated publicly that he could save money and lives if he could just move firefighter shifts from 24 to 12 hours and redeploy overnight ambulances to busier call times. But members are fighting back and talking out.
We've gone back 20 years and 2 years.
Chief Ellerby's staunchest critics say he's untouchable because his 2 bosses, the mayor and this man, support him.
I believe the leadership of this agency is very good and committed.
Deputy Mayor Paul Quander insists the fire department is ready for any emergency and that Chief Ellerby is a competent, qualified leader who can manage the department's difficulties.
Have there been some bumps in the road? Absolutely. Will there be bumps in the future? Yes. Do I have confidence in this chief? I do.
But some firefighters fear it's too late and that the department's difficulties are already impacting public safety.
And the citizens are paying the price. They deserve better. They deserve much better. It's the nation's capital. If there's any place that deserves the best, it's the capital of the United States of America.
Now new tonight, ABC7 has learned of another scandal brewing in the D.C. Fire Department. This time it's in the division that oversees inspections that are critical to public safety. And it's landed at least one inspector on desk duty. Jay Korf joins us now from outside D.C. Fire headquarters with the word on what he found in this I-Team investigation. Jay.
Well, Leon, multiple sources are telling ABC7 News that allegations have surfaced that some fire inspection reports were manipulated, possibly so the inspector could get out of doing additional work. The fire department has launched an investigation.
According to fire inspection reports obtained by ABC7 News, an inspector went to look at 3 businesses in the Bloomingdale neighborhood in Northwest Washington between late May and early June. Big Bear Cafe, Bloomingdale Wine and Spirit, and New Reservoir Market, where owner Tedessa Kassan works the register. He remembers the inspection well because he says nothing came of it.
She say everything is all right, and then she left. That's all.
No fire violations?
I don't get any paper, so I don't know what is the violation is.
But the report states Kassan had 2 minor issues and signed the original copy of the report, showing that he was aware and would rectify any violations. He says he never got a report, let alone signed a report.
I don't believe this. I don't know why she did this.
A couple blocks away at Bloomingdale Wine and Spirit, owner Rajwinder Singh says his son was present during an inspection where 4 violations were uncovered. The report states the recipient refused to sign, but Singh says his son was never presented a report to sign.
He said, I did not sign and I did not refuse to sign.
And down the street, the manager at Big Bear Cafe says the signature provided on his fire inspection report was forged. These proprietors are at a loss as to understand why this is happening.
What do you think about this inspector? Do you think she's doing her job?
I don't think so.
An investigation was launched and a supervisor returned to each business, asking each proprietor to write a handwritten letter to the fire marshal stating what happened. ABC7 News obtained those letters. The owner of Big Bear Cafe stated, quote, "The signature on the document is not my signature, nor is it the signature of anyone on my staff." An employee of Bloomingdale Wine and Spirit stated, "The inspector, quote, said that I refused to sign the inspection letter. That is not true." And the owner of New Reservoir Market stated the inspector, quote, "didn't give me any paper to sign."
Now, in response to our story and our questions, a fire department spokesperson issued an interesting statement that could point to a broader problem, saying, quote, "The department is still investigating these incidents involving inspectors," I add inspectors, it's plural, "from the Fire Prevention Division and will not provide any comment on these allegations." And we should note that the owners of the 3 businesses in question that we featured in the story insist that they have corrected all of their fire code violations. Live in Northwest, Jay Korf, ABC.
I don't see that you are making a major change yet.
D.C. Councilmember Tommy Wells grilled Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby at length on systematic problems plaguing the agency and compromising public safety.
Updating a system that's been in disrepair for 15 to 20 years cannot be accomplished overnight.
Chief Ellerby touted that response times are down, more paramedics have been hired, and that 13 new ambulances are being used.
So we've procured 13 brand new ambulances. Where are they right now?
He knows one is being repaired, another is at the White House, but he could not say where the others are stationed. He also admitted that the only tower truck in the fleet has been out of service since April and should be scrapped.
That truck is 10 years old now, so to continue to repair a 10-year-old truck with a whole host of problems is almost like throwing good money after bad.
Chief, it is up to you.
Well, it's up
You
to
want to
me.
replace the truck? Replace the truck.
We also found out that Chief Ellerby did not know how many of the department's pumper trucks had passed a safety certification test, and that only 3 out of 23 ladder trucks had passed that test.
It doesn't mean that the ladder trucks don't operate. It doesn't mean they don't operate well. It just means that we haven't had somebody go in and test those ladders.
But he could not assure firefighters that they are working on safe vehicles. Union officials who have repeatedly aired these concerns and many others remain frustrated.
It's going to take a large infusion of money and a significant hiring to fix the problems.
More trouble for D.C. Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby. Tonight, a D.C. councilwoman is officially calling for the chief's resignation. Only on 7 tonight, we caught up with Chief Ellerby and the mayor, and we got their responses. Jay Korf has been covering the problems within the department. He's live now with the latest. Jay?
Well, Leon, despite calls for his resignation and a mountain of well-documented problems within his department, we caught up with Chief Kenneth Ellerby, and he told us in an interview he has absolutely no intention of stepping down.
Today, ABC7's Chris Van Cleve caught up with Fire Chief Kenneth Ellerby, who rarely responds directly to the press.
Councilmember Che has asked for your resignation today. What do you respond to that, sir? What do you say to the councilwoman who's asking you to resign?
No comment for the council member.
Why no comment, sir? Do you feel like you're doing the job of fire chief?
I think we're doing the job.
Do you think you're doing it well?
Some of these things just take time.
Councilmember Mary Che formally called on Chief Ellerby to step down, saying the people of the city no longer have confidence in him due to a litany of staffing, equipment, and managerial problems that she says directly impact the agency's ability to respond to emergencies.
I think, again, that he, by negligence or indifference, has been running the department into the ground.
Che also called a recent report detailing the department's woes, including a fleet in disrepair and a shortage of paramedics, a devastating indictment of the agency.
I don't know what he does over there in his office. I mean, how can you not know what your own department is in need of? It's appalling, actually.
Mayor Vincent Gray is the only person who can fire Chief Ellerby. The pair appeared today at a public event. Multiple sources tell us that it's highly unlikely he would let go his close personal friend. In fact, the mayor said he was not even aware of Councilmember Che's letter calling for Ellerby's resignation.
I don't know anything about it. I support the chief. I've said that many times, and that's really all I have to say. I don't know anything about the letter. I haven't seen a letter.
You're staying on the job?
I'm staying on the job.